Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
And we are coming at you from the beautiful Podcast Palace in wonderful Norman, Oklahoma.
Right. Where we are not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma.
But we do have eligibility left. So, first off, as always, subscribe right now, like, follow, whatever you're listening to the podcast on. Make sure and follow us. Follow us on Twitter and all that stuff. Before we get into other things, Rob, what came out Friday?
QB1, Netflix original show,
and
featuring Sooner Football Fans Podcast.
I don't know about featuring.
Oh, what we were featuring?
Our names are in the credits, though.
All right.
So, yeah, episode 9 is the episode you can find us on if you haven't found it already. It is towards the end of episode 9. And we are in a group of media people talking about Spencer Rattler and his ineligibility for the last couple of games of his high school career.
So I still haven't gotten to watch it.
You haven't?
I hear that he kind of didn't show well.
He's cocky.
A little cocky.
Yeah, he's a little cocky. Which
I don't mind a little cocky, if, as long as he can back it up.
Good Lord, we had Baker Mayfield, for crying out loud. People are upset about him being cocky. I mean, Baker Mayfield, was still talking about you heard what he said in some interview he had, a GQ or something like that. He has no regrets about planting the flag on Ohio State, and the university made him apologize, and he had it was unheartfelt. Okay, and I know Spencer, let's just face it. I mean, that backup quarterback was pretty good, okay, for Pinnacle. But Spencer's the best player in the state of Arizona, and he knew it. So to be that good, you got to be a little bit cocky. So, and I think the coaches will wear him down a little bit out of that cockiness, but you don't want to take too much of it out of him.
Well, when you leave the state of Arizona as the best player and you come to the University of Oklahoma, you're not the best player anymore.
Yeah. so
he may very well become that, but right now he's not. But
anyway, make sure and we'll talk a little bit more about QB1 and Spencer Rattler and what people have been talking about. But the tailgate for the UCLA game is set and sold out.
Sold out. So
you cannot get tickets to it any longer. They had to pre-sell tickets because, quite honestly, Dan is putting on a big shindig and didn't want to spend millions of dollars and then nobody show up. But which wouldn't have been the case. Sooner fans always showed up. But I mean, everybody's paid their money. You're going to have a bunch of all you can eat and drink and be festive activities for the day. And over 70 people are attending now. So
from OU, right?
That's everywhere.
Oh, okay.
It's Oklahoma and UCLA, but the majority of them are Oklahoma. Like I told you, Dan said that he extended it more because a group from the LA Sooner Club out there found out about it and wanted to come. So
nice. It's going to be cool to meet some alumni from the state of California.
Yeah. And also check out our YouTube videos, Sooner Football Fans on YouTube. Thursday night at Louis. Every Thursday night we drop a video. Well, I say every Thursday night. We haven't the last couple. Had stuff going on, but we'll be kicking those back off again. But always go out to Louis on Campus Corner and check them out. Good place to eat. Lots of fun. Good people. So back on the QB1, Rob. You haven't seen it. I hate talking about it if you haven't seen it, but
it's okay.
It's a good show. I mean, I've watched it. Have you ever watched it? Any of them?
I've not seen not one episode.
Yeah. So. The one thing I think that probably impressed me more than anything is Spencer. Out of the three groups of parents, Spencer Rattler seemed to me the most hands-off. Maybe that's how it was produced, but the kid from Florida. I don't remember any of them's names, but the kid from Florida that was going to Kentucky, his dad was the wide receivers coach on the team, but I'm pretty sure, I think he was in the car restoration business. So he was like a volunteer coach, and they were always in his business. Most of the stuff they had with Spencer was team oriented and coach. And the kid from New Orleans, mom was very active, but they had his parents on, but they didn't seem to be. It seemed like football, was Spencer's deal. They guided him, but they weren't involved. If that makes sense, they weren't that hands on.
I mean, he's a kid and he still needs guidance. So I don't hate on the parents for that, because my son's a senior in college and I'm still, providing as much guidance for him as I can. Obviously, he's smarter than I am now, but I still try.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I thought was funny is Dad. They had him mic'd up. I think it was in the stands, and his dad was talking about Spencer. He got on to Spencer because he was wearing his Sooner gear underneath his football gear. And you could see Sooner stuff hanging out. And he told him not to do it anymore. So I told him, "You're not at Oklahoma yet. You're not finished here. You support and you keep your high school stuff going." Mm. But everybody else was, highly involved. And really, the kid from New Orleans, you end up rooting for more. I mean, you see these kids, Spencer's team, Pinnacle, big school out there. They have top-notch everything. This private Catholic school where this other kid went, top-notch everything. And then basically an inner-city school in New Orleans. I don't know if it's inner-city, but these kids, when practice was done, there was like Little League practice. They walked home, carrying their helmets and wearing their shoulder pads. You see them all going off in different directions. I mean,
there wasn't a locker room to go to.
There wasn't a locker room.
Wasn't a hot tub waiting for them, or an ice bath, or whatever.
Nope. They were done. And it showed it plenty of times. Those kids, walking down the street, you'd see two of them one side of the street, two on the other, four, and they all got their helmets and they're walking home from practice. So you ended up rooting for him more. He ended up going to Maryland.
So I've seen some hubbub about it. Some people out on Twitter saying, "Hey, this kid or that kid." So I read a little bit of that, but not really understanding it. So now, kind of putting it together.
Yeah. But the show's good. It's really, I don't think it's really as much of, people say it's reality TV. It's more of a reality documentary. It's not, they're just there filming what's going on. And I was extremely impressed. You and I know we talked about it the other day, but I thought there would be a lot more said about the Spencer Rattler and being ineligible, and he really wasn't ineligible. He was just got in trouble at school for something.
Yeah, nobody still knows, right? People still don't know why.
Right, but broke a school rule, and he wasn't, ineligible for extracurricular activity. He couldn't go to dances. He couldn't do anything extracurricular. So it wasn't just you can't play football. It's like, you
can't do anything.
Yeah, all you can do is come to school. You can't do anything else. But they didn't spend a lot of time on it. It was really the ESPN game, the fake knee injury, that's what they told everybody. But he didn't play because the decision had already been made, and then they release it, and that's when they kind of go into it. Episode 9 ends, and episode 10 starts with that. He's at home doing yard work. They talk to his parents about it, and that's it. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe a little more than.
So
5
that's
minutes.
Good though. They focus more on his career and stuff.
On playing and but you would think with a show like that they would go ooh, but
they're trying to nail it down to some kind of scandal.
Yeah, but it wasn't hardly any time spent on it at all.
All right, well that's good.
So did you see the AP Top 25 came out?
I did not see that, Terry. Go ahead and lay that on me.
Who's number one?
We are.
Well, of course. Oh, and by the way, before we get rolling into this, we do have a fan going to be coming on. She's a Bama fan, and she's a big Jalen Hurts fan. But Clio will be on here shortly, all the way from Alabama. So y'all get ready to hear a little bit of Jalen Hurts and probably a little bit of Alabama football.
And a little bit of Southern drawl?
I don't know. We're fixing to find out.
We'll find out.
She didn't text with a Southern drawl. So.
She didn't?
No.
Well, maybe she didn't have one then.
Okay, other than Oklahoma, who's number one?
Oh, it's going to be Clemson,
Clemson.
Alabama,
Okay.
Ohio State.
Nope.
Let's see, who would that be then?
Oh,
Sure, they didn't put Washington up
nope,
there.
not Washington.
Okay, so it's Clemson, Alabama, Georgia.
Georgia.
4 is going to be probably Ohio State.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Wow, who's putting this list out?
This is the AP. It's the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I should have went with Oklahoma then.
Yeah.
If
5.
it was ESPN, it would have been
Yeah.
LSU. And,
5. 5 is who?
5 is it's going to be
You thought they were 4.
Ohio State.
Yeah. 6.
6 is going to be Florida State. Just joking. 6. Who would be 6 in that deal? Probably Purdue. No, I'm just messing. Gosh, I don't even know. It'd probably be
SEC team.
yeah,
LSU.
LSU.
Then Michigan.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty good this year. Michigan, yeah.
Florida's 8. Notre Dame is 9. And Texas is 10. So, then we got Oregon, A&M, Washington, Utah, Penn State, Auburn, UCF. Boy, they're going to be throwing a fit about that. Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa State, Iowa, then Iowa State, Syracuse, Washington State, Nebraska, and Stanford.
Hey,
Now,
Nebraska hit the top 25?
yeah, we want to talk about that here in just a second. But
Okay.
big implications on Texas being number 10, and they will be playing, hopefully, a number 6 ranked LSU.
Oh, yeah.
Second game of the season.
Second game, okay.
Yeah.
Second game of the season. That's
It
going to
was
be one
the
to
first
watch.
game, whatever game of the season ends. So, do we root for Texas, or do we just want Texas to win because there's a difference? Isn't
Well,
there?
we just want SEC to lose. So. No, I don't hate the SEC in that way, but I do hate Texas in that way. So I'm kind of torn.
Yeah, it's not rooting for them to need them to win.
Well, they need to win for our sake.
Correct.
So
yeah, they need to win for Oklahoma's sake.
Guess, but never can we ever pull for Texas.
Yeah, ever. Now here's the deal: Nebraska was 4-8 last year.
I know.
And now
they got lucky in 1 or 2 of those games. To win, so.
And how is Army left off of this poll?
Right?
I mean,
come on.
I don't know what Army ended up last year. I think it was like 19.
10-2.
Yeah, but I mean, you got a 4-8 team, and because they're Nebraska.
Well,
but they haven't proved
been
anything.
Nebraska in 20 years.
Good point. Yeah. So, that's the really, Auburn is up there 8-5. They're at 16. That's a little bit high.
You know something? It's going to be hard for Auburn to wade through that SEC West, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, there's some teams in the East Conference there in the SEC that aren't bad. Florida's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't say they're a great team, but
No.
it's a team that could sneak up and it's like an Iowa State that they could sneak up and beat you.
Florida, they're 8. Notre Dame, I haven't looked at their schedule. I'm sure we'll talk more Notre Dame, but they were 12-1 last year. Of course, they beat Mother Mary Sisters of the Poor twice last year, I think. Oregon's supposed to be pretty good. UCF, I'm interested to see if they start rolling in the season, and we're going to have to deal with the UCF. We should be number 1.
Well, we've talked about it a couple of times. They have got to play somebody. Now, I know that they played, they beat Auburn, and then they beat West Virginia or something like that.
Yeah, last year, though, they lost their bowl game to, I don't know who it was.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta do it year in and year out. You can't just get lucky. Like Boise State got lucky when they beat us with that Hail Mary play. They or Statue of Liberty, not Hail Mary. But you know what I'm talking about. They're not going to do that year in and year out, and neither is UCF.
Yeah. But let's see. The SEC has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the top 25.
And the Big 12 has 3.
Big 12 has 3. Big 10 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Really?
Yeah. Pac-12 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
So,
Well, I mean, the SEC has a couple that are questionable. A&M has not proven themselves in the SEC at all. So, I mean, I guess, neither has Iowa State proven themselves because they lose games, I don't know. But there are some teams that, they're just going to be there year in and year out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Alabama's always going to be there.
But, hopefully UCF can keep winning some games like that, or keep winning so we can make fun of them. We always got to have that team that, that doesn't belong there. But you heard the big news yesterday, Sooner fans. Rob, you heard it too, right? Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah. Named quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, named starter. So we're going to talk about the running backs.
Okay. All right. Great segue there, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Rolled right into that. Well, we want to save the quarterback talk for Clio.
Okay.
She can let us, and she will. She will school us on her and Tony. They know football and they know Jalen. So,
yep.
Returning Letterman, Trey Sermon, Kennedy Brooks, T.J. Pledger. Who's the biggest impact, Rob?
It's gonna be Trey Sermon this year.
You think so?
Because he's just an every down back. He's powerful. He's rugged. He's built for it. He's going to get a lot of hard yards. Of course, so is Kennedy Brooks.
Yeah.
But
you do know that Kennedy Brooks averaged 8.9 yards per rush last year.
Well, weren't they real similar? Like 7.8 and like 8.2?
Yeah, but and that's based on a minimum of 9 carries per game. He was ranked 3rd nationally. First off, who were the other 2 guys that had more than 8.9 yards per carry?
Right? Brooks just amazed us because he's one of those kids that doesn't look like he's running very fast.
Right.
And all of a sudden he's behind everybody.
Yeah.
So you're like, what happened?
Yeah. They put the second team out there to try to tackle him.
But really, Sermon, he's just kind of been the go-to guy since he got here. He's a freshman. Just running over people as a freshman. And I hear he's bigger, stronger, faster this year. So
that's scary.
I think he's gonna really.
And he had 947 yards last year. So
he didn't have anything to sneeze at. Yeah. He split a lot of time last year.
Yeah. So. Pledger, sophomore coming in. I think we're going to see a lot of him.
Well, Terry, before we move on, the thing I like most about those backs, and I can't include Pledger in this, but with Sermon and Brooks, they block a lot.
Oh yeah.
So. They're going to keep Jalen safe so that he can sit in that pocket and pick people apart. And then when they're called to run the ball, they're going to get 8 yards carry. So
right, 8.9.
8.9. I said corrected.
Jeez, come on, Rob. That's non-lettering returners. Michael Anderson and Isaiah Harris. Don't know anything about them. They're both red shirts. Newcomers, Ramonde Stevenson, 4-star junior college prospect, regarded as the number 1 JUCO running back. This is the Samaje Perine looking guy.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, speaking of Samaje, did you see the picture of all the Sooners?
I did. Samaje Perine, Rodney Anderson, and Adrian Peterson, yeah.
And somebody else. There was
another one?
Yeah, but somebody put on there, Samaje looks like Peterson's dad. He does.
He's stout. That is one stout kid.
Yeah.
Of course, they all are, I guess.
But Stevenson rushed for over 2,000 yards and 16 TDs in junior college. So he's going to make an impact. I mean, he it's a running back by committee. You know how it works at Oklahoma. They're going to keep putting the guys in there, and the one that gets the hot feet, don't call it hot hands, it's hot feet. The one that starts getting it is the one, and it's been that way under Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Whoever starts churning in the game as it goes on gets the carries.
Well, yeah, but you also know that whoever comes out of the backfield is either or they have got to catch the ball
right
out of the backfield. They've got to be able to block
right,
and then carry when they're called to carries.
And don't fumble, because if you fumble, you'll be out and you'll have to transfer next year.
Done.
It's that simple.
Yep.
Oklahoma, last year eclipsed 300 yards rushing mark in 6 of its 14 games, and we're a passing team.
Right. All passing. Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, 300 yards rushing in 6 of its games, 200 yards in its other 2. We were only held to 150 yards rushing once last year, so that's ridiculous.
That's not bad. Yeah.
We produced 2 1,000-yard rusher in Brooks and Murray, with the third leading rusher, Sermon, gaining over 900 yards. So we almost had 3,000-yard rushers last year.
And then Murray threw for how many thousands?
Yeah. How many thousands? Brooks and Sermon combined to score 25 of the team's 42 rushing touchdowns in 2018. Additionally, each back rushed for multiple touchdowns in a combined 7 games. Brooks accomplished the feat 4 times and Sermon 3. Okay, does that mean? Okay, no. I just had a brain fart sitting here. I was like, they scored 25 of the 42 rushing touchdowns. Does that mean Kyler scored the rest? No, there were other backs.
Yeah, we may threw 1 or 2. I don't know.
It was like, golly. But and that's one of the things I think Clio we'll talk about her is that I've seen her on Twitter and stuff start talking about, to other people, is like Oklahoma's not a passing team. Everybody is throwing this out here as the spread, throw it around the yard. When they throw it, yeah, they throw it accurately and all over you.
On you at will.
But they also run on you at will and run more than we do. And I'm really interested to see, and we talked about this last year, and it really didn't change. We thought we would see Kyler last year more in the running game, and he wasn't.
Nope.
I'm interested to see if
Jalen pulls it down and runs with it.
Or if there's going to be more designed for a big, strong. I mean, this is the biggest quarterback we've had since who?
Well, now, I mean, Landry was 6'7".
Yeah, but Landry, I could run to 40 backwards faster than Landry.
Well,
no, I couldn't. I'm
Blake
sorry.
Bell was 6'4".
But they weren't fast. Jalen.
They weren't fast, but Blake was a running quarterback a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the Belldozer. And then, before that, I guess it'd probably be Jason White until he blew out that knee and became a pocket passer.
But this is the biggest quarterback we've had physically since probably who'd you just talk about? The Landry.
Like, well,
he's the new Dallas quarterback.
Right. Yeah. The XFL.
Yeah. They're going to be the Dallas team eventually, period. That's
maybe.
I mean,
because the other Dallas team's not very good.
Your running back is still training down in Mexico.
Got them both.
And your quarterback turned down $30 million. Okay, honestly, Rob, what would you do if your agent called you and said, "Hey, they offered $30 million, we turned it down"?
Well, he might be looking for another job.
Yes, immediate. I mean,
$30 million a year.
$30 million.
No, it was $30 million over
4 years or something like that.
Something like that. I don't care. It's $30 million bucks. If you can't figure out a way to live on $30 million bucks for the rest of your year,
and
life, something is wrong with you.
How arrogant are you to think? Okay, we're talking about Dak Prescott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How arrogant are you to think that you're worth more than that?
Yeah, considering he had a trash year last year.
Yeah,
look, he wasn't that good.
Okay, we all know Tom Brady. We all hate him. Okay, but he's one of the lowest paid, or not the lowest paid, but he doesn't make very much money because his wife is uber hot and makes all the money, so he doesn't have to. You know what I mean?
Right.
I get that, but not that everybody should be, nobody should be paying anybody over what Tom Brady is making, but when you get, I mean, how many games did they win a playoff game last year?
Did they make the playoffs? I don't know.
If they did,
they lost the first game.
Yeah, so
like they have for the last 112 years.
Yeah, these athletes, these kids these days, Rob. I mean,
listen. I mean, I understand you. I want to raise in my job too, but you know what? If I perform like he did last year, I'm not getting a raise.
Yeah,
it's just that's just all there is to it. and he's just not as good as he thinks he is.
And if they offer you 40% more than what you're making now, not that sound, I'm just throwing it out there. If your job offers you 40% raise and you go, no, I want 45, no, you don't.
Of course, that'd put me at almost $5 an hour.
Yeah. Well, Rob, you ready to get Clio on the phone?
Absolutely. Let's get her on.
Let's do this. All right, Sooner fans, as promised, on the phone, all the way from Chattanooga. Is it Chattanooga, Alabama? I just realized that.
No, she lives in Tennessee.
You're born in Alabama and you live in Chattanooga now? I am completely confused. Anyway.
We're going to get to a map later.
Okay. Well, anyway, because I read this completely different. So, sorry for the bad introduction, but you know her on Twitter as Clio the Sooner Swooner.
Right.
We've been teaching her what a schooner is for the last 6 months, I guess, right, Rob?
We've been trying.
But we have.
She may have taught us a thing too. Who knows? I don't know.
But we have Clio on the phone with us. Boomer, Clio.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Okay.
So let's preface this for people who aren't on Twitter, because we have a lot of listeners who are not on Twitter.
Right.
Clio is a avid, could I say that, Jalen Hurts fan? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us a little bit of history first off about you and how you became at least one season Sooner fan.
Well, there's this quarterback who apparently sucked at Alabama, so he had to go to Last Chance U.
Oh, Rob, we were wondering if she was going to talk smack. I think she has answered that question.
She just laid it down. All right.
No, it's just a very surreal experience. But it's awesome and it's fun and to be honest, this time a year ago, the thought of him leaving would have me absolutely prostrate on the floor with grief. but he not only, and of course I don't know the kid, but just watching his demeanor in interviews now versus seeing him on the sidelines last year, he's just lit up like a Christmas tree. So you can tell that he's happy, and I think anybody who it's just like if you've got your favorite players at Oklahoma, and like Mr. Congeniality. You were happy for Baker Mayfield to go to Cleveland, and a lot of Oklahoma fans are now Cleveland Browns fans when they weren't before.
We're not even talking about.
So
that.
it's the same concept. So
right.
It's just, I kind of view it as like to me, it's not quite the NFL. It's like a little halfway house.
Yeah. Well, tell us how you became. Tell us how you became an Alabama fan. Is it because you were born and raised there, or?
Yeah, I was born. So my mother and all her people are from just outside of Huntsville.
Okay.
And my dad is originally from Missouri, but he moved to Alabama right during the height of the Joe Namath, Bear Bryant, when all that was happening. And we moved to Tennessee, and if you look at a map, Chattanooga is like 20 miles from Alabama, so it's not that far. But we moved to Tennessee when I was about 3 or 4, and have had to live with the awful Tennessee Vols all these years, which is why I hate them so much. But so just was always an Alabama fan. That's just religion, basically. I don't need to tell you all about that for sure.
Okay, but, so first off, can you confirm my education of Rob of how Bear Bryant got his nickname, Bear Bryant?
Well, he wrestled a bear.
I told you, Rob.
I'm pretty sure if he'd have wrestled a bear, he would have died.
He was in high school, wasn't it? He was in high school or college, wasn't it? I mean, he.
No, I would envision not any older than high school. I don't know the exact age.
Yeah, but it was at like it was at a county fair or something like that, and he. Yeah. He got in the ring.
So is it safe to say it was a tame bear?
Is there any such thing as a tame bear?
Well, you don't wrestle a bear and walk away from it. I'm just saying that does not happen.
Well, all I know is back in the day, before they had seat belts in cars and safety strips on roller
And
coasters.
safe rooms.
Yeah, and so you went to the county fair and you wrestled a bear.
Okay.
So
that was a thing.
that was fun.
All right. Hey, I'm gonna give him my $5. I'm gonna go wrestle this bear. I'm gonna put him down.
Exactly. But my dad was a huge Bear Bryant fan. Okay, Bear Bryant and Barry Switzer. That was like the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Okay, and that was it. He loved both of them. And I know, back in the day before the internet and all that stuff, there was the bathroom books, and some people still have them. Well, on the back of the toilet for years in my parents' bathroom was the Bear Bryant book. I don't remember what the name was. I think it was just Bear Bryant, and then Bootlegger's Boy. Both of them sitting on the back of the toilet.
Right.
And I think my dad read them back to back for several years, but.
What an honor.
Yeah. So, but see, I knew what I was talking about. I have confirmation that Bear Bryant, it was Paul Bear Bryant. He got the name Bear from wrestling a bear.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, sometimes legends, they kind of grow.
Nobody said Bruce Lee, the bear, stuck his, arm in his chest and pulled out
Didn't
the bear's
make him
heart.
Say, Uncle.
Yeah. He just
The bear's on the ground going, Uncle, Uncle. That's right, Bear. What I tell you.
No. So let's get back on to football, and
hey, this is football.
But anyway, let's see. Yesterday, me and Rob, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Oklahoma named a quarterback, so we talked about the running backs. Okay, today on today's podcast earlier, because we're going to let you talk about Jalen Hurts and being named the starter at Oklahoma. Was it surprising? The questions are, now I don't know how much Oklahoma radio you get to listen to. I know you listen to a lot of podcasts, but a lot of the talk is now, of course, they got to have something to talk about because it's not the season yet still. Is Jalen Hurts been named the starter for the Houston game, and then it's still up for grabs moving forward? What do you think?
Well, that's going to be the case at any position for anybody on any team. That's how it works.
Right.
So, there's a reason why the phrase is it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Right.
So that's why I never got too hyped up into when is he going to be named a starter and why doesn't he go ahead and name him a starter. We all know he's going to be the starter. And I'm really, really promising. I'm trying not to go, but at Alabama. However, but at Alabama, last year, for example, Saban, well, he never names anybody a starter. He just puts out a depth chart for an hour before the game. And so going in a whole month into the season, he had Tua and Jalen listed as co-starters all the way up to almost to October. And everybody knew, what was up.
Right.
So, but it's just not my upbringing or whatever. I'm not used to it being this big proclamation of somebody being named a starter. I was thinking yesterday that's probably the first time. I don't know what happened in high school, but it's definitely the first time Jalen was publicly proclaimed the starter and had a graphic fancy thing on Twitter. When he became the starter his freshman year, that's not how it happened. There was a competition 2 or 3 games into the season, and next thing you know, he's there, and the other guy left.
That's
just the nature of football.
Welcome to Oklahoma football, because it doesn't matter who the starter was the last year. Everybody up until whether it was Barry Switzer, Bob Stoops, or Lincoln Riley, people were wanting to know who's going to be the starting quarterback, even if it was Baker Mayfield. Everybody talked about when Kyler, Baker Senior. Well, everybody knew, but it was still like, but man, Kyler's really good. Well, then last year it was the same thing, Kyler and Austin. And
hey, let me ask you: I'm sorry, Terry.
No, shoot, Rob.
Was Tua Tagovailoa better than Jalen or not?
And we honestly have tried to say his name, and we can't. So
I did say it.
It's Tagovailoa or whatever.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's have a real quick pronunciation lesson. So you just
it's really
start off with tongue.
It's really not that important to us.
Okay.
He's going to be the quarterback of your Cowboys next year. So
not my Cowboys.
Rob's Cowboys.
It's Rob's Cowboys.
Rob's Cowboys. And then you like the Steelers?
The Steelers, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but But anyway, what about Tango Life of a Ho Ho?
So, hey, she got closer than we did.
Rob wanted to know if you really feel like he was the better quarterback.
I think he was the better passer. And so there's that's kind of an integral part of being a quarterback.
Well, it's kind of important.
It's kind of important.
But he's a better passer. He and Kyler were by far the best passers in the country last year. Now, there's things though that Jalen can do that Tua is not as good at, and we kind of I think saw that the last game of the season. Jalen is infinitely better with red zone conversion than Tua is, and that's exactly how Clemson got us. Is they kind of baited us into the red zone, and then we couldn't move the ball.
Right.
Jalen is more mobile. You'll hear people call Tua a mobile quarterback, and he'll run every now and then, but it's not. And maybe I'm comparing him to someone who's exceedingly good at running the ball, so maybe that's not fair. But Tua is a lot better passer, and at the time, it wasn't when Jalen lost his job. It wasn't the mechanics of passing the ball that was the problem. It wasn't like he was passing and not completing passes or throwing interceptions. It wasn't like that. He was all up in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was in a place where if his first read wasn't open, he would take off and run. And the opposing defenses realize that if you can just, jam up the box, crowd the box so that he can't run, he's not going to throw if the first guy's not open, then you've stopped him. And so that's what became the problem. That's what became the problem for the whole world to see against Georgia in 2017. And so that's how he lost his job. It wasn't that he has problems with mechanics of getting the ball to the receiver. It's getting over that hump in his brain. But he's a completely different quarterback in 2018 than he was in 2017. Like I say all the time, I wouldn't be repping him as hard as I was if I didn't see that change.
Yeah. So. Well, one of the things that I think I saw with Tua last year first off, Georgia is apparently where, Alabama quarterbacks go to become the second string quarterback because it's happened 2 years and, 2 games in a row that they play, but Tua comes in, wins the national title, but what got me about the Georgia game, the SEC title game, it seemed like Georgia realized if we pressure him and beat him up, he doesn't I'm not going to say beat him up, but hit him hard. He didn't want to. It seemed like they realized this kid doesn't like to get hit, and if we start, Tua, and if we start hitting him, getting in his head, he'll start, and that's what it looked like to me happened. They just wore that poor boy out, and I'm not saying that with disrespect. I would have said it if they did that to Baker Mayfield, in the Rose Bowl. They wore him out, and they weren't prepared at that point in time for Jalen to come back in, because Jalen just played 11 minutes and was 7 of 9 passing, and brought them back. What were they, a touchdown down or 2 touchdowns down? Two.
We're down 2.
And brought them back, and then I thought, well, honestly, being a non-Bama fan, sitting there going, well, now is Jalen going to start in the national title game? Because it was shocking to me the way that Georgia was able to shut down Tua. I mean, it was just weird. Like I said,
you were shocked.
Yeah. I mean, because it didn't look like they did anything. To me, it just looked like they wanted to get in his head. We're going to rush him. We're going to hit him when we get, football fans know, and when you listen to a lot of sports and you hear, old players talk, when you start getting hit and when the guys are on top of you, they're punching, they're gouging your eyeballs. I think they just got in that kid's head last year in that game, and he was done.
Well, I mean that's a great recipe no matter who you're playing. Get to the quarterback and rattle him, and that's half the battle,
right,
or more. So,
and it seemed, and I think they kind of did that to Hurts in the national title game the year before, because he wasn't as effective.
Yeah.
So. Right. Maybe the best thing to do when you guys play Georgia is to, like every other place, send in a quarterback, and then Georgia can't figure it out. Even though y'all beat them both times, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they've been able to bench a quarterback in both games, but
Yeah, Mac Jones is going to ruin their life in December all over again. Yeah, and that's my only. I love Tua to death. I'm clearly a Jalen fan, so when you're an Alabama fan, you are either passionately a fan for one over the other, and you like the other one.
No.
and my lone thing that I hope that he improves on. Most pro quarterbacks, if they see a sack coming, they will ball up and protect the ball and draw into themselves and take the sack.
Right.
And he, bless his heart, tries, with everything he can to the absolute end to get that ball out. And so he's standing there. He's got these, pass rushers coming at him, and his core is exposed. His limbs are out, and that's you're going to get hurt that way. And so I hope that he has gotten over that habit in about 2 weeks.
So
we ain't got no more Jalen Hurts to come in anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, now with Jalen, when he declared for the portal, okay, it was Oklahoma. Well, the rumors were Oklahoma. Was it Maryland?
Maine.
Miami
and Maryland.
Yeah, Miami and Maryland.
Yeah.
Where did you think, or where did Alabama fans think he was going to go? Or were there Alabama fans upset because he entered the portal? Or how was all that taken?
Yeah, there's so many different, I would say the overwhelming majority of fans were happy for him and understood.
Yeah.
Like the overwhelming majority were not, they totally understood that, that he wasn't going to get the starting job back at Alabama, and that was really his only decision. Now, some have just written him off, but I think there's so few that they're not even worth mentioning. I would, as far as where most people thought he would go, I would say most fans didn't have a dog in the fight, so to speak, because the general consensus is, well, good luck to Jalen, but I'm an Alabama fan at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter where you go. My friends and I wanted him to go to Miami, just because he would have looked so pretty in the uniform.
Oh my God!
and the campus, there's hammocks on the trees, and it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful place, and so it was like he's worked so hard and been through the struggle, and so this is like his reward for going there. But so when I found out he was going to Oklahoma, and that's the funny part, because that's where there was the least amount of public attention, I guess. We should have known it was Oklahoma all along, because that was where you didn't see any pictures of him at Oklahoma. There was no anything. He even did this weird Instagram post the day he was in Oklahoma, where it made it look like he was in Tuscaloosa. I don't understand that. That's a long, big long story. But anyway, so that should have been the clue. But my first reaction was the same way. Like if you found out, I don't know, pick somebody, transferred to Alabama, you'd feel a little bit like, my goodness, why? They've got everything already. They're already such a rich, talented, blessed program. Why did they, because I guess my mindset was like, he's going to go somewhere else and help them, and like help Miami,
Yeah.
And so that was my initial reaction was, oh, why Oklahoma? They've already got everything anyway. But that's obviously why he went there.
Yeah.
Because it was the second best program in the nation.
Behind Clemson?
Man, shots fired.
No. But
but you listen to podcast, I know, but I mean, the whole deal has been he came to Oklahoma to get into the NFL. I mean, it's that simple to make as much money. He's got 1 year. Not that they don't already know he's a good quarterback. He would probably go in the draft if he went to Miami, but if he comes to Oklahoma and puts up numbers even close to what the last two quarterbacks have done, he could be he'll be the first round pick, the third in a row.
I mean, Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say what you want to about Nick Saban, and it's all well deserved. But Lincoln Riley right now is probably the best quarterbacks coach in the nation. And he's not even a quarterback's coach. I mean, he's a head coach, but he is obviously turning, pretty fair quarterbacks already. I mean, Baker Mayfield wasn't even offered a scholarship by any big schools, and he turned him into a Heisman-winning first-round pick. So
Yeah.
And Lincoln has that knack of putting the quarterbacks in a situation to make them the most successful. And if when you watch an Oklahoma game this year, you will see plays where you will realize that who got the ball. You know, we all know about the first read, second read, third read. Go back across to your first read. Lincoln, there are plays designed, and you will see them that it's all smoke and mirrors, and you'll see one guy pop out by himself. And usually that guy is the tight end. Okay, and
because you have 97 of them. Can you send us some tight ends? We literally have no tight ends. We're using a walk-on. I'm not kidding. Go ahead, though.
But you know, there was a couple of plays last year with Calcaterra that when they showed it from the end zone, I'm sitting there watching it and going, and you know, because when you're at the games, you don't get to really watch the replays and stuff. Right. But me and Rob were watching one where everything was, you know, receivers were going deep and to the right and everything, and just all of a sudden Calcaterra just kind of popped out to the left. There was nobody over there, and me and Rob were both like, that play was designed to pull everybody to that side of the ball, you know, of the field, for Calcaterra just to step out of the mesh. And there's other plays that you do that with, that he does that with. You'll see it and go, there was no read. It was going to that guy the whole time. Everything else was just smoke and mirrors. Now, there are times that they go through their reads, but there are plays, and that's what I think Lincoln does better. And like Gary Patterson, you know, we brought it up 100 times because it's one of the craziest things I ever heard was Gary Patterson talking about playing Oklahoma again in the Big 12 championship game year before last. Was they had to prepare. There was one dive play, right, Rob?
Right.
A dive play that Oklahoma ran 9 different ways.
9 different sets.
9 different sets.
9 different
Same
backfield
play.
sets.
But and he says you have to prepare for that because you don't. Most people, they run a dive. You know, there's 2 or 3 sets. And there was different schemes to all of it. That's how Lincoln Riley coaches that offense, It sounds like it's complicated, but apparently it's simplistic.
Right.
I mean, it's just XYZ. Here's where you go, and if you do this, it'll work. And I'm really interested to see what he's going to do with Jalen. I mean, we all thought last year that we were going to see more of a quarterback run game. Nope. The only time, Kyler took off running was if he had to or just decided to. And I'm really interested to see if Jalen's going to be more in that running game than what we've seen in Oklahoma.
I think that's what Lincoln Riley is saying when he says that he felt like Alabama held Jalen back last year, and he wants to kind of let him, I don't know the exact words, but free him up a little.
Right.
Because what happened last year, and I think it was a concerted effort to get him to focus on going through his progressions and not take off running, because, again, that's where his problem was.
Right.
It was not, the mechanics of passing. It was the feeling like he had to do everything himself, I guess.
Right.
And so he would stay in the pocket, he'd extend the plays when he needed to, but he very rarely ran. I don't know if you remember, I posted a couple of weeks ago of him scoring a touchdown against Tennessee. That was the third Saturday of October, which is when we play those evil people every year. And that was the first rushing touchdown he'd had all year. And part of that, obviously, was because he wasn't playing as much.
Right.
But he also, when he did play, it didn't seem like he was allowed. I don't really like using that word because I think he was in agreement with what was going on, but the play was just designed for him to not run as much.
Right.
And so this notion of freeing him up and not holding him back is, on one hand, very exciting because I could sit there and watch him run the ball the whole game and be totally happy. And I think he and his nature, just the way it seems, he and his nature would be totally fine running the ball. Just him against 11 other guys, and everybody else blocking for him. But obviously, I know you can't do that, and you certainly can't do that in the NFL. So the notion of him being freed up, on one hand, is exciting. But if I have any hesitation at all, like if I try to envision if things go bad, the only way I really envision that is if he starts to become too reliant on his feet again and gets jammed up just like he did before.
Yeah.
So it's a little scary, but I have, in Lincoln we trust, I guess.
Okay, well, right now it is time. We're the Sooner bucket of questions. We're going to call it the Bubba Gump bucket of questions. And Rob always loves to do the bucket of questions. And again, these questions, for everybody who doesn't know, they may be sports related. They may not be. There may be embarrassing questions. They may be intellectual questions. Go, Rob.
All right.
Is it going to involve a smoothie?
You just never know. You just never
I
know.
will opt out of all smoothie questions.
She's opted out. Okay.
No smoothie questions.
No smoothie questions. All right. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, okay, Rob.
Question number 1. Would you rather be able to breathe underwater or have the agility of a cat? Where'd you get this?
Well, you picked them.
The ability of what?
Of a cat.
Agility of a cat.
Yeah.
Of a cat. The agility of a cat. Oh, cat all the way.
A cat all the way.
Go with cat.
Oh, you want to breathe underwater so you can see.
Related, I will go with cat.
Yeah, because what is it that you own a bridal?
I manage. Yeah, I manage a bridal boutique in my spare time when I'm not trying to convince the whole world that Jalen Hurts can throw the ball. I am. I knit houndstooth sweaters for my cats and make them little Bear Bryant hats.
What kind of sweater? You called them something. I can't. What type of sweater was it? You called it
a houndstooth.
Houndstooth.
That's a color.
What a houndstooth is, right?
No, I don't know what a houndstooth is.
Yeah.
Well, then I was just going to hang up.
It sounds badass though.
You don't know what houndstooth? Seriously?
Well,
I do not know what houndstooth is. Rob, tell us.
Bear Bryant's hat. That was houndstooth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a design. It's not a color.
Potty book?
Oh, okay.
Right. It's a design, not a color.
Yeah.
People present it as a color. I'm like, that's not a color. Blue is a color.
That's the great thing about being a gump. You not only have your crimson and your white, you also have your houndstooth.
Oh.
To accentuate, to add a little flair to it. I could have sworn that Oklahoma had a chevron pattern. Did I dream that? Have you ever seen, chevron with the little V's? No, I haven't seen it since. I've been looking. No. You all need a signature print because the Tennessee stupid idiots have the checkerboard and Kentucky has a checkerboard. You all need a signature print. So work on that when we get off this phone call.
Well, I mean, ours has always been, and it was kind of with the Big 8 with Nebraska. It was always Go Big Red was kind of, and it's always been just kind of the crimson and cream. But. We don't have a
houndstooth
or a checkered board.
Wouldn't you just die if they asked Jalen tomorrow why he chose Oklahoma and he just goes because it was the same color?
I didn't have to buy any new shoes. My shoes matched everything.
As if you had to buy some anyway.
Okay. Second
question. How many days could you survive in solitary confinement?
Oh, like forever.
Oh, you're okay being alone.
That's the ideal situation.
All right.
Yeah. Just shut up off the world and
No football, no nothing?
Well, no, that wouldn't be. You have television.
Okay. All right.
Okay, last bucket. Hope it's a good one, Rob.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Okay.
Were you good at dodgeball in school?
I was not good at anything that involved, not any sport. No. I had one moment of sports greatness, and that was in the 8th grade in the intra-class volleyball tournament. So, it's a volleyball tournament within the class.
Okay.
The PE class. And I could never get the ball over the net. Never. Like, never. And that's even doing it, like when you put it on your hand and hit it with your other hand.
Yeah.
Not like the normal volleyball way. I could never get it over that. So but everybody else on my team was good because I had a bunch of basketball players on my team. And so we were in the finals of our little tournament. The class was almost over, so the PE teacher said, okay, and we were tied. PE teacher says, okay, whomever scores the next point, that's the winner. And here I go to serve.
Oh, pressure.
And you could just see my whole team just their faces just sunk. They just knew it was over. And I put that little ball on my little hand and hit it with my little fist, and it went just over the other side of the net. And the other team was so accustomed to me not being able to get it over the net, they didn't even make a play for it. I can see them now. They just looked at it and watched it fall to the ground, uncontested. And I felt like Jalen Hurts winning the SEC championship. It was the greatest moment ever. Until Jalen Hurts won the SEC championship, and that became the greatest moment.
No.
And then we had this phone call. So that's my
So speaking of Jalen Hurts, we're bringing him back up now.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he cut off the dreads? What was that all about?
I think he wanted to cut them off for a long time. I think they were just really hot because he would always wear them piled up on his head. I would call that his messy bun. While girls wear a messy bun, I call that his messy bun. But I think they were hot and annoying him, and he had made a bet with himself that if they won the national championship in 2016, which would have been his freshman year, he would cut them off. And of course, they didn't. And so he had to keep them one more year. And so they obviously won the next year. One day, Josh Jacobs, you all know Josh Jacobs, the running back, right, from Tulsa, tweeted out, he said, okay, Jalen, you know about that bet, chop, chop. And the next evening, Josh Jacobs had posted a video where Jalen had cut him off, and we all about died. It's a wonder that there were any women left in Alabama still alive, because it was just the worst thing that could have ever happened until
now. I know why Alabama didn't win the national title last year.
Because Samson cut his hair.
Yeah. See, Rob?
Yeah.
These aren't myths, Rob. They are facts.
So you can't.
You
cannot encourage Terry in this regard, Clio, because the way we sit in the living room or the shirt they're wearing has no effect.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So that's a mental illness.
Oh yeah, you have your signature chairs you have to sit in, and your shirts that you can't wear, and
And the way do you do that? Do you sit in a chair a certain way? You don't.
That's the beauty of Nick Saban. You can wear whatever Sam Hill you want to.
Or sanity. You can just say I'm sane.
Has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with people watching. We just kind of kick back and he does his thing, and there you go.
No.
But you better call Jalen and tell him to start throwing those dreads back out.
Yeah.
If that's the secret.
Maybe that he came to where the real crimson is at.
Oh, my. Keep on thinking.
Yeah. But no, I just thought it was because I liked the dreads personally. I thought he looked better with them.
Well, you should grow some.
Rob, I can't grow. My hair growing days went away a long time ago.
You grow plenty of hair out of your ears.
Yeah, out of my ears and nostrils and everything else. Everywhere, shoulders where I don't need hair at, I'm now growing hair. So, and don't
it does suit him. I think the short hair suits him more because, he's like literally 59 years old. He's like an old man in a 21-year-old body. Yeah, and so that when I see him with the dreads now, it just doesn't seem, I think the shorter hair suits his personality more. So.
Well,
but I'm not sure. I still think I'm on to something with.
Listen, with or without dreads, if we could play a little bit of defense, we're winning the national title. Okay.
So
get all the defense to the crow dreads.
We didn't play any defense last year, and we got there. We got to the playoffs, and we didn't play any defense. And when I say any, I mean we were dead last.
I want to just go on record. The Oklahoma defense gets a bad rap. There's the whole 196 out of 132 teams. Whatever. I watched all last season. Y'all are better than what you get credit for. You beat Texas with your defense. So, and somebody else, I don't remember.
Okay, I'm just going to say this. Dead last. Okay?
Okay.
Do I need to repeat? Dead last.
So you understand, Clio, and just from the Sooner aspect of it, our defense did not help us beat anybody. Our offense had to outscore everybody. Whichever. Well, that's what it is about. Okay, 2 years ago. No.
Who's what? This Mr. Wonder Kid in the end zone and got an actual safety. That was 2 points, and that changed. No, you wouldn't have won the Texas game without that.
Okay, 2 years ago, the Texas Tech game was 192 to 191. That was the worst football game I ever watched. Everybody was like, "That was exciting. It was great." No, it wasn't. There was nothing exciting about that game.
Right. Patrick Mahomes against
Baker Mayfield. You know, they might as well have just put a receiver out there and a quarterback and just because that's all that was happening, and put them on, give them 10 minutes and whoever could score the fastest.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
And that's the defense. The defense at Oklahoma has steadily declined, and last year it hit its program worst. It was the worst defense in the Oklahoma program, 125 years.
Yep.
On year 124, they were worse than they were in year 1.
No, that's for sure. So, yeah, if we could just play a little bit of defense, and a little bit, we would have a better chance.
You're gonna be better. You're gonna be better. You're gonna have the prophet, not the prophet. What was the apostle, the disciple? I don't know. One of the Bible words of the process has come to the plains. It'd be good if that was a P. We could make an alliteration. The something prophet of the process has come to the plains. But Jalen's going to get in there and teach those. I just have these visions of after practice, he's out there teaching everybody how to tackle.
Well, they need it.
There wouldn't be one of us complain about that at all.
Nope.
Jalen, go show the linebackers how to tackle. Go show a corner how to cover.
Yeah, that's more. I
mean, so
I think.
Did you answered the phone when we called? Give your little speech of how you answered the phone when we called you to get on the podcast.
Okay. Well, reenact it. You have to go ring, ring.
Ring, 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 ring.
Thank you for calling Hertz Donuts, where every donut is a proven winner. This is Clio. How can I help
you? So, have you ever heard of Hertz Donuts before?
Not before January of this year.
Okay. Hertz Donuts may be that's where diabetics go to die immediately. Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of Hertz Donuts, the stadium here is going to offer a Hertz Donuts burger.
Oh.
In the stadium, a Hertz Donuts burger.
That's something I won't be eating. But Hertz Donuts.
You're not even going to try it?
No, I'm not going to try it.
That's a little closed-minded, Terry.
Yeah.
Don't you think, Cleo?
I'm not going to try sushi either.
What? Don't be a sissy.
No, I don't eat. So anyway, back on the Hertz Donuts and not the Hertz Donut hamburger. Do you know what Hertz Donuts is here in Norman?
I'm going to go with it's a donut shop.
Yeah, but it's not just a
good answer.
It's not just a donut shop. I don't think there's a donut in there that probably weighs under 5 pounds. Do you, Rob?
Oh, they're big. They're thick. Yeah.
They're big, thick. I mean, literally, they have, double chocolate fudge chip caramel
dunked in Skittles. I don't know. I mean, they're ridiculous.
But we've got a friend of ours that comes in from Arizona, Conway Tweeter, and he has to go to Hertz Donuts, and he gets a box of Hertz Donuts to take back to,
He doesn't just go get one. Did you see the article I tweeted yesterday where it said Jalen had been in there twice? And both times he purchased one glazed donut. Why do you go in there and just buy one glazed donut?
Yeah, I think you can get just a regular glazed donut.
Yeah, they do. They have just the regular glazed donuts, but I mean they're all the rest of them are specialty donuts. I mean it's like there's the Bart Simpson, which is Butterfinger, and I'm telling you they're like 3 to 4 inches round and about 2 to 3 inches thick.
She probably can work her way around the old Google and Google it on up.
And I said, if you eat one of them, halfway through it, you start getting is it hyperglycemic shakes? She's like, your body's going, I have too much sugar. I have too much sugar. But I thought that was funny. That's one of the first things I think he tweeted out from Norman was, "I found my donut shop." Shop.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of him in front of Hertz Donuts.
Yeah,
But
that's good stuff.
And so that's the other reason he'll say. They'll ask him tomorrow, so why did you come to Oklahoma? Because I didn't have to change colors and because I would have my own donut shop.
yeah, own donut shop. I wonder.
Yep.
That's the. I would go in there and help them make a donut after me. My last name.
Oh,
with
yeah,
Hertz.
I would do that. Yeah. It's right here on Campus Corner, so it's not like it's far for him to go.
Yeah, it's right. Across 2 blocks from campus. So I don't know. Do you think he lives in a dorm, Rob?
I'm sure he lives at Headington.
You sure he does?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they all live there.
They can't.
Sleeps on Lincoln Riley's couch.
Yeah, they can't.
No, they can.
They can't live off campus.
Yeah, they can.
So tell us on Alabama, what does Nick Saban's house look like? Have you ever been to his house or by his house?
Oh, that's where I am right now. I'm sitting in the tent.
No.
It's pretty. It's like this French provincial with all these cool, those tall pointy trees that like a spiky tree. Got those out front. Miss Terry, who is his wife, Miss Terry, who is the first lady of Alabama and is the most powerful woman in the whole state, powerful person in the whole state. It's got it all decorated, and it's right there on the lake.
Doesn't that house stand out at the trailer park?
Did you say that again?
Say it again, Rob.
Oh, no. Please go on.
No. What Rob said, because she
All I heard
couldn't
was
hear you.
trailer park.
He goes, he asked if doesn't that house stand out at the trailer park?
It does.
I'm sorry.
But it's right there on the lake, and so that he brings recruits over before he gives them their used Dodge Chargers. He brings recruits over, and then a couple times a year he'll have either the leaders from the team or the freshmen, and they'll take their little. I don't know I don't know the difference between a gator and a golf cart. What's the difference between a gator and a golf cart?
Gator, you work in a golf cart you play golf out of.
Okay, so I'm going to go with either golf cart.
Yeah,
So they ride their little golf. They race the golf cart to the lake, and they get on the boats and ride around in the lake. And
Yeah.
fun.
Well, Bob Stoops lives right on the outside of Norman, and I don't know, it's a castle, right, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
What is it?
Yeah.
3-story.
Yeah, it's Hogwarts. School for magic kids. Or something like that.
Yeah. And see, here's what's fun. A story you might not have heard was that somebody broke into where he hadn't lived there very long. They didn't break in, but they stole one of his cars. One of his Lincoln Navigators, out of his driveway. And no, they did. They broke in and got the keys and stole a car. Everybody in the world knew that was Bob Stoops' house, and they caught him, and they were going to make him do community service. And everybody thought, just let them, the community service, they could be blocking dummies for the Oklahoma football team. I mean, let them hold blocking dummies.
Yeah, they'd probably be like, hey, put me in jail.
Yeah. But, yeah, Bob had just built this house, and it wasn't, 3 or 4 months after he moved in, somebody broke into it and stole
And it's a fortress. It's like, I don't know how they got past the gate.
Yeah. I mean, it's... And the people that live on either side of him, I promise you, love him because, like I've said before, their property values went from a $120,000 house to a $2 million house in a year.
I've never seen Lincoln's house, though. I don't even know what it looks like.
I don't either.
Huh.
I know
It's a log cabin.
Yeah.
Might be.
with coal stacked up on the outside, and so he can write, on the coal shovels. But
He goes out and practices debate when he's not at work.
No, apparently, Lincoln is a fisherman. He loves to fish. I mean, you've seen the tweets that he puts out, but apparently, not only does he go up into Canada and Alaska, but apparently he hits the lakes all over Oklahoma pretty regularly.
Yeah.
So
Which is ironic because a friend of mine on Twitter, Miss Jira, who is awesome, tweeted out in this epic tweet, the Jalen haters are these kinds of people. And she listed various kinds of typical Twitter accounts and avatars that were bashing Jalen. And one of them was, quote unquote, man with fish. And so it's become this running joke about how the man with fish Twitter accounts all hate Jalen. Well, now finally he's found a man with fish who loves him.
So
it's all come full circle.
So you brought up Twitter. Okay, what do you think about Blinken Riley?
Oh, he's awesome. I wish I could do it as well as he could with all the Jalen haters.
Does Alabama have anybody like Blinken, a fan like Blinken?
No, that's not that I'm certainly not aware of. That's awesome, and I'm glad I went back and tried to find stuff that he might have said about us in the past, and he was pretty light-handed with us.
Yeah,
so that either means that he respects us or there wasn't much to come up with.
No, it's one is he respects, and two is no knothead has come after him. Okay, because because we've gotten to know him pretty well. And I don't know if I think it was last week, he was just murdering this guy from A&M. Every 5 minutes just dropping stuff on him. And I was like, dude, what did this guy do? And he goes, I am just sick of him. His dumbass and da-da-da. He's constantly on me. So I'm just.
They got to delete his account. It was bad.
But I mean, Tennessee came after him last week too, and he just slapped Tennessee down. I don't think anybody.
He did that all day.
Yeah. And I don't think even in the with the Orange Bowl last year, the semifinals, I don't think anybody came after him. If you don't come after him, he has his Texas Fact Tuesday, and his Bedlam Fact Friday. And now he started one for A&M just because of one guy.
Just because of that one guy.
But the rest of the time, he has stuff that he watches, and he'll just, throw that stuff out there. But if you keep coming at him, he's going to bury you. I've never seen anybody prove him wrong.
I've never seen anybody live through it.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is just, and he's telling the truth. Don't take what I'm about to say to imply that he's not. My father is the 1961 Missouri State debate champion, and I learned from him growing up that as long as you sound like you know what you're doing,
exactly.
If you throw facts out there, very rarely will people question you on it.
Yeah,
so, I kind of use that just a little bit. I mean, we won't give away all my secrets, but anybody who knows football knows that kind of.
Facts are facts, and Blinken. If you sit down and talk, not only he's a really nice guy, nice family and everything, but he's a baseball.
Savage.
He's a baseball nut.
Oh, yeah.
He loves baseball stats, and just I know he's been on the podcast a couple of times, but he actually shut down his last one because it was a political Twitter page. Okay.
Yeah.
And he said, you want to deal with idiots? There was the idiots to deal with.
Asking for trouble.
Yeah. And he loves Oklahoma football. He had his own, had a little one. He just kicked Blinken into mode and just took off. And I said, he is the Thor of Oklahoma football, and
he wins the Twitter.
Yeah, don't come after him, because if you come after him, he will find the stat that will. I would think after 3 times of you saying something and the guy coming back going, yeah, well, XYZ, and here's where you can go find it at, buddy, and you'd go, oh, I need to shut up because I'm just looking dumber and dumber, which is the problem with Texas and Texas A&M. They're dumber than a box of rocks. Every one of those fans are. So.
Yeah,
but
I was disappointed though that I listened to his podcast. I think this is on a podcast, not a tweet, but I listened to his podcast where he ranked either his most hated or the worst fan bases, and he only put Alabama at number 3 and not number 1. So, and we want to win at everything, even if it's most hated fan base.
Well, see, and I don't know, I haven't heard that one, but when I know that folks talked about going to Alabama when Oklahoma went there. They talked about how, welcoming it was. And I know the same was said from Alabama, when the teams came to the town. Now, I don't know how it is, when they're at a bowl game, if it's a different attitude, or or what, but I know that when Oklahoma has gone there and I met some Alabama fans the last time Alabama was here, and it was great. I mean, they were, which is how most fans are, unless you're from Texas and Oklahoma State.
Okay.
I'm telling
LSU.
LSU.
Yeah, LSU. You never want to meet an Okie Stank fan. They are the worst individuals in the world. And my best friends who are Oklahoma State fans know I feel this way. Don't talk football with me because your football team sucks. Always has, always will.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
University sucks.
Speaking of that, now Auburn is the in-state rival. Is that is it a true rivalry game? I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Because, see, Oklahoma fans, we don't treat Oklahoma State as a rivalry, okay? Because a rivalry is
somewhat competitive.
Oklahoma State's only, it's like
89 and 17.
Yeah, 89 and 17. That's not a rivalry. That's an ass-kicking every year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, except 17 of them. So tell us what goes on in Alabama during Iron Bowl week.
Well, that's probably one reason why it is a little bit more of a rivalry, because the few times that Alabama has lost under Nick Saban has been to Auburn. So they lost the year that the kick six, where we were kicking the field goal and ran back. That was and of course that was Cam Newton's year.
Yeah.
And then what may have ultimately cost Jalen his job more than anything was they lost his sophomore year. We had no linebackers.
Yeah.
You have to have linebackers to play football. I don't know much about football, but linebackers are essential. And we had run out of linebackers, and so we had people, playing with boots on and running around with crutches on the field and things. And so we had no defense, and so we lost to Auburn that year. So it's it's a legitimate rivalry, and I'm sure you know about Harvey and the trees.
Yeah.
You know about Harvey and the trees.
Yeah.
So I'm just surprised no one has died.
Now,
I need you to explain that one.
Harvey and the trees. You didn't.
Harvey and the trees.
Yeah,
there's
a 30 for 30 on it. The guy that it was at Alabama. It's Auburn that has the trees, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. So Auburn has in their town square near campus has Toomer's Corner, and because they're trash, when they win a game, they go get their toilet paper from who knows where that's been up who knows behind in, and they throw it up into the trees and trash their own tree. Oh. This is what these people do, right? Because they're not very bright. And so, and that's their big tradition. And so Harvey Updike, who is the Alabama fan because there's no small ones, we're all obnoxious and, took a notion that he would poison the trees. And so he goes to Auburn, he puts herbicide in the root system of the trees. I don't know. I don't go outside and do nature, so I don't know how that works. But somehow he introduced poison to the trees, and the trees died. And so he spent some time in jail, I think, or he should have, because that's when.
Yeah, I think he did because he admitted to it. I mean, he didn't he call into a radio show or something, and
yeah, I think so, or Pine Bomb or something. I don't know. Do you know about the Cotton Bowl many years ago in the 50s or 40s or something between Alabama and Rice, where the dude ran off the sidelines to tackle the guy?
I remember that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that when asked about that later, that guy said, "Well, he just had too much Alabama in him. He lost his self-control, and because he had too much Alabama in him." So that was Harvey's excuse, was that he had too much Alabama in him.
Yeah, because those trees were hundreds of years old, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they'd been there. The town was kind of built around them and everything, and I mean that's
and the irony, and it's definitely not something we're proud of. I'm just joking about it, but I'm definitely not proud of that. And as far as I don't know what became. I mean, I know Harvey's alive and apparently not paying his restitution. But as far as I'm concerned, he should never be allowed in Bryant-Denny ever again. Never should be allowed on campus or anything. But and I just totally blanked out. What was I about to say? I don't know. Keep going. Something about the trees.
Well,
it was going to be a good point too. I don't remember.
Can't remember. Hey, it happens to.
Oh, I know. So that was 2010, right?
Yeah.
And 2011, I don't know if you all got it bad, but April 2011 was when we had that tornado supercell outbreak.
Yeah.
Where there was tornadoes all over the southeast and hundreds of people were killed. And But of course, ironically, so the spring after he did that, this F5 tornado or series of tornadoes hit Tuscaloosa and wiped out trees on trees on trees on trees. So karma. I guess, but, yeah. So
yeah, no,
awful.
The Oklahoma Texas rivalry is, in our opinion, of course, we are Oklahoma fans, and I think Texas fans would probably say it. I think it's the greatest rivalry because it's the most unique. Okay, it's always been played in Dallas. Okay, and just they used to always wear. We just found this out
during the Texas State Fair, by the way.
Yeah, during the Texas State Fair, they used to both wear their home team jerseys. They both wore, Oklahoma wore red, Texas wore orange. And what's funny is the fairgrounds are actually closer to Norman, Oklahoma, than they are to Austin, Texas.
Yeah, 38 miles or 40 miles?
Yeah, so Norman is actually closer to the fairgrounds than it is for Texas, to come. But have you ever watched the OU Texas game?
Yeah, I saw the two last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's the second weekend in October is the Oklahoma Texas game, and it's just. I don't go that often, and you've heard me talk about why I don't like to go to a lot of games, but I go to the home games here. But that is an atmosphere that you will not experience at any other college game.
The stadium is split at the 50 on both sides of the field.
Yeah.
And it is obnoxiously loud the whole game. It doesn't matter who has, you're used to, if you're at your home game, you got the ball, it's quiet unless you score, or unless you make a big play. At OU Texas, there is a roar constantly, and it's just which ear you're coming into, because it's either coming into your right or your left ear, and it's obnoxiously loud. And
but my suggestion was that they should have Big Tex, the big robot there, have him wear, whomever wins, have Big Tex wear that jersey.
Ooh.
For the rest of the fair. I don't know when does the game occur in relation to the fair? Is it the beginning or the end?
It's about halfway through. It's about I think the Texas State Fair is 3 or 4 weeks, and it may be the first week or second week of it's the second week. It'd be the second week of the fair. It's the second weekend in October every year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I can't see the governor of Texas approving that.
No,
the people of Texas would burn it down.
Yeah, again, the people, because it burnt down a couple of years ago.
Yeah, after we kicked that booty.
Yeah. So, but we haven't had anything like Toomer's Corner, the killing of trees. But if you're an Oklahoma fan, I stayed at the fair after we lost one year. It's miserable. It is it is miserable because all the Texas fans stay, and I'm one. If I'm going down there, I'm getting my money's worth. I'm going to go to the game. I want to drink beer, and I'm going to go walk around the fair, and people watch. That's one of my favorite things.
Ride the tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah, but God, it was horrible. Every time you walk past, I got
So, as far as doing stuff to other colleges, now I can't confirm or deny that this actually happened. But I do happen to understand that during Bedlam Week, some of the fountains there in Stillwater turned red for a time.
Yes, so. I heard that as well.
Yeah,
and you also
sounds like some kind of biblical thing.
Now,
like a plague.
One of my favorite stories. Have you heard the story about Boone Pickens Stadium?
No, I don't even know where Boone. Okay, where is Boone Pickens? What's that?
That's Oklahoma State's, or Okie Stank is what I call it. That's their stadium that runs east and west. Okay, that's another thing you've heard. It doesn't run north and south. Yes. It runs east and west.
Yeah.
Okay,
I remember you talking about that.
And they used to call it Rust-Oleum Field. Because it was literally it was like high school bleachers is what it looked like, just a big aluminum stadium, and it was rusting out.
Terrible.
Okay, so and that's people called it Rust-Oleum Stadium, but Boone donated $500 million to get everything there named after him. Well, this is Oklahoma, and there are 100 times more Oklahoma fans than there are Oklahoma State fans.
For sure.
And when the stadium got built, somebody was walking by it and looked up and noticed that in the brickwork, somebody had aligned the bricks with the Oklahoma logo.
Nonchalantly.
And
way up at the top.
Up at the top, and it wasn't small; it was big.
Right, it was big.
Okay, and it was after they didn't see it until after it was complete,
and they tore it out.
and they tore it out and redid it. Well, it wasn't. They were almost done. It wasn't finished. They were almost done because I remember there's a deal came out that the guy that did that section ended up getting fired.
Well, yeah.
No, yeah, but. Okay, what Oklahoma should my opinion, what Oklahoma should have done was, made a park like Heisman Park for him, Bricklayer Park, But no, he literally put the OU logo. He was the bricklayer that laid the bricks up at the top. He got fired for it. It wasn't finished, but they didn't catch it when he was finished with that section.
Right.
And somebody saw it, and there was he just aligned the bricks with the OU at the top, which was awesome.
It was funny, to be sure.
Yeah. And, of course, all the Oklahoma State fans, that's how those OU fans are. They're just so mean and rude. No, we're just better than you. So
yeah. That's one thing I've really been struck by is of course, we may be fighting one another in 2 months if somebody tanks. but everybody just seems so pleasant. Y'all are just wonderful people. I don't know.
I mean, most Oklahoma fans, I think it's, again, we're biased. It's the greatest fan base in the country because, we're courteous. I mean, our tailgate, there's people that, not just Sooner fans, but Sooner fans from all over the country come to kind of meet. Twitter comes to our tailgate to meet each other. Okay. But we're in the middle of tailgate area, and I could walk over, or you could walk in there, and even if we were playing Alabama, you could walk into one of those tailgates. They would give you a beer, glass of wine, hamburger, steak, whatever they were cooking, and treat you like family. Now there'd be some smack talk, but the only teams that I have not seen Oklahoma do that to is Baylor, because Baylor fans are the worst in the world. Oklahoma State. There was a guy that set a tent in the area for the Oklahoma State game. They never even came to it because they realized the rules at Oklahoma are first come, first serve on tailgate, but everybody knows in an area, this is my tailgate. They will watch it for you. Well, this Oklahoma State fan got there real early on the morning that you set them up. And he set it up, and everybody was nice to him, going, hey, look, man, this is our area. Hey, your own rules are first come, first serve. So they never even used the tent. Everybody, we were all standing over there waiting on that jerk to come over. They didn't even use their own tailgate because they knew that people were going to harass them. So, but,
those heathens.
Yeah.
That's why I wish Tony would wear. Shout out OU Tony. What is it? OU_Tony.
Yeah.
Now you all think I'm the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. It's really Tony. Tony is just awesome, and I know you all are going to take good care of her. But I wish she would. She's just so for anybody listening who doesn't know, Tony's a big Alabama fan, just like me, and a even bigger Jalen Hurts fan. And she's going to be on the podcast tomorrow. She will tell you. Oh, cool. Yeah. Cool. She will tell you. Like when it comes to I hope that my greatest hope is that Alabama and Oklahoma are playing one another in New Orleans. At which point I will hide under the bed and cry. Not yet, because I'm just going to turn it over to the Lord because I don't know. I just don't know who else would want. But she will tell you straight up.
God is an OU fan, so.
Say that again. But God's an OU fan. but she will tell you straight up that she wants Oklahoma to win because she feels like it's Jalen's turn. She said that as much, and I hope I'm not misquoting her. She can correct me if I am. But she's driving 13 some odd hours from Alabama to Norman to see the Houston game. Yeah. And I keep telling her that she should wear an Alabama jersey because that would be so cool. Yeah, I told her to. She goes, "Do you think anybody would get any hassle for wearing my Jalen Hurts one?" I was like, "Nope. Nobody would say a word to you. They'd probably high five you." Oh yeah, they would think that's so cool that he's got so much support. I tell you what it's not worse than 100%. And I should have told her this. Now I'll tell her this tomorrow on the podcast. It is the people that wear the Cleveland Browns Baker jersey to an OU game. Those are the people that tick me off.
Don't be a hater.
Ugh, get that color out of here.
The orange, yeah.
Yeah, orange and turd brown is what it is. Ugh.
Because Oklahoma State is orange and black, or orange and brown.
Orange and black.
Yeah, so
And
it
they're
looks really like an Oklahoma State uniform.
yeah. The Oklahoma State is what we call prison orange and black. And
Prison rape orange.
yeah, prison rape orange. And,
I'm sorry.
and then Texas is the baby puke burnt orange.
Yeah.
It looks.
Yeah, and then Tennessee, of course, is the garbage truck worker.
Yeah,
convention.
it's the the Purina dog chow orange, isn't it? I mean,
That's hilarious.
but yeah, Oklahoma State is the prison orange. But yeah, but no, she was like, think I'll get any hassle from wearing. I'm like, no, everybody, you'll probably get high fived. Everybody like, hey, cool jersey. There'll probably be some legitimate lifelong OU fans who may have one of those that are wearing it. But now they not that they'd bought it before, Rob. They may have bought it, but because Caleb bought a Hertz thing, Bama Hertz shirt or something like that.
I bought a Hertz donut once.
I rented a Hertz car once, but no, the only thing is that it's whiteout. It's the first whiteout game Oklahoma's ever had, so that ought to be interesting. And like I told everybody, I'm wearing the lime green OU stuff that game because I am going to be on TV.
They're going to be like, look at this idiot.
Look at it's whiteout except for this one giant green dot, and it's going to be me. So
like there's one Oregon fan in the whole stand.
Yeah. So do you want to try your luck at Sooner Not a Sooner?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Every question must be Brian Bosworth.
Okay.
I had the biggest crush. I had the biggest crush on Brian Bosworth back in whenever he was playing. A
85.
lifelong friend of mine. If he knew I was a fan now, he would think that was funny. He was like, "You always liked the Boz." Okay, shoot.
Well, I'm going to try to keep it relevant, more relevant with lifelong Sooner fans. We try to go back into the 50s, but let's see here. Tony Casillas, Sooner Not a Sooner.
Tony Casillas. Let me think. Tony Casillas. I'm going to go with Sooner.
You are correct.
Very good answer.
Very good.
Yay!
Do you know?
Do I get a prize at the end of this? How does this work again?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. Send us your address. We'll send you cash.
I don't think that's allowable.
Oh,
But he was the second round pick in the 1986 draft to who, Rob?
it wasn't the Denver Broncos.
No. Who was it?
It was the, I might could actually get this one. Let me
Yeah,
see.
think about it, Rob. He played for your Pokes for a while.
I don't know. We'll come back to it.
What?
All right. Who? I don't know.
Atlanta Falcons.
Falcons.
Correct. He was part of the trade, the Herschel Walker trade.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
part of that deal, I believe. Okay, next one. Rod Tidwell, Sooner Not a Sooner.
Rod Kidwell. That certainly sounds like that's tempting. I'm going to go with Not a Sooner.
Are you Googling this?
No.
Okay.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Rod Tidwell from
You had
Jerry
to- hello.
Maguire. Let's see. Roy Munson, Sooner Not a Sooner.
Roy Munson. Now, I know that one. That sounds like somebody my father would have watched in 1867. Roy Munson. It's tempting, but I'm going to go with Not a Sooner.
He was a bowler.
He was a bowler.
Bowler.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Kingpin?
I see no movies. I do not watch the movies.
You do not. Oh, gosh, I'm glad we didn't.
No, I don't watch movies.
Well, I'm glad we didn't
I
have
have no good.
movie questions
no-
on the other on the.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's see here. Roy Williams, Sooner Not a Sooner.
Well, how many Roy Williams can there be in the history of the world? There might need to be. What's his middle name? What's his social security number? Roy Williams.
His real name is Super Roy.
Yeah.
Or Real
Super
Roy.
Roy. I'm going to go with Not a Sooner.
Sacrilege. Roy, have you not seen the Superman play?
No.
It's OU Texas. Roy Williams dives over the line. He was a safety, dives over the line, hits sissy Chris Sims. He fumbles into the air. Teddy Lehman catches it and scores a touchdown.
He also played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes,
for a long time,
which made him really bad. He didn't, never was the same after that.
Well, they named a penalty after him.
Yeah, that's true.
The horse collar is named after.
They
Roy
did.
Williams.
The horse collar is Roy Williams. That's how he tackled everybody.
That's
He'd
right.
get behind you and grab you by the back of the jersey and yank you down.
The Roy Williams Memorial Horse Collar.
And for a long time, the safety position at Oklahoma was called the Roy back.
The Roy back.
They called it the Roy back. Yeah.
Well, last week I learned all about Bud Wilkinson, so I'll try to learn all about Roy Williams.
Wow. But you just have you learned all about Barry Switzer yet?
I know a little bit about him
Okay.
Bootlegger's
because of the
Boy
Boz. I
is
know
a
he was
great
the
read.
Boz's coach.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dan Cody, Sooner, not a Sooner.
Dan Cody. That sounds like a very Oklahoma name. Dan Cody. I'm going to go with Sooner.
You are correct. Second round pick. He was a 53rd pick overall. To who, Rob?
I'm going to go with the Saints.
Baltimore Ravens.
That was my next guess.
Rob's like me. When they get to the NFL, you just kind of check out.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I will watch college game. I watch them. Obviously, Alabama. I'm 3 inches from my 52-inch television with the room sealed off, no outside interference. And then I'll go and I'll watch various and sundry other games throughout the week, like, if I'll go to YouTube or the ESPN app and watch games that took place on Saturday that I missed. And then the NFL is like background noise.
See, the greatest channel to watch NFL on is the Red Zone on Dish Network, because all they do
Well,
is
are you going to buy me a subscription?
no, because I'm fixing to get rid of mine. So, but it is the best, because the Red Zone, all they do is play touchdowns, and they're live. So you'll have like 5 screens up. They'll put like 5 screens up.
Because remember, I don't care for touchdowns are the worst thing that can happen in a football game. What you want to do is stop the touchdowns. Like 3 and out, that's my touchdown. Goal line stand, that's my touchdown. Interceptions, pick six, those are the touchdowns that I will watch, but not just regular little offense taking it in and scoring. That's boring, stupid. No.
Not a 99-yard, Jalen Hurts to CD Lamb pass.
I mean, I will applaud that. I won't mind.
It could happen.
I will say, good job, boys. But generally, I always say I only like one quarterback. I've only ever really liked 2 quarterbacks in the whole history of the universe: Jalen Hurts and Jim McMahon. And then I only tolerate about 4 more, and those 4 are, of course,
that's like the polar. That's like the polar opposites.
Yeah, he was kind of a Baker kind of guy, wasn't he?
No,
yeah.
He was it still is a little bit of a flake. I thought you were going to say Joe Namath.
No.
I mean, or
well,
Kenny,
Joe Namath, obviously, but he's still kind
or Kenny Stabler, or now Joe Namath. Joe Namath still has the most embarrassing moment ever on NFL on Monday Night Football.
Oh, when he was drunk.
Yeah, hitting on the.
Yeah.
Yes, that was funny.
It was funny, and then then you got uncomfortable. It's like, oh my gosh, he's so drunk he doesn't realize he's on TV, and he's like, "You're so pretty." That's how Rob gets when he drinks too much, right, Rob?
Like, girl, you had me at hello.
To waiters walking by.
Do you think he'd been drinking a cherry smoothie?
Listen, I'm not sure where this conversation's headed, but I think we need to do a U-turn here.
The thing is you have to realize, what people don't realize is the looks on Rob's face sometimes is.
Oh, you can hear it. You can hear it coming over the air.
Yeah,
I can just hear him blushing.
It is so funny, because he literally like paralyzes him for just a second.
Listen.
He doesn't move.
Listen, we're still talking about this. I think
And that's why, you guys, I'm
change
sorry
the
I
subject.
laugh so much about it. You just don't see the reaction that it's like a fainting goat. I mean, he just,
No,
you know.
come on now. All right. That's not funny. I don't know why you're laughing.
Oh, but anyway, we will stop the discussion of cherry smoothies,
Thank
Rob.
you. Thank you.
Until tomorrow, we'll talk about them again with Tony. See if she brings them up.
I'm gonna make her ask him
I'll
about
just
it.
go and blush in advance then. Just know, I'll do that for you.
But anyway, is there anything else, Clio, that you want to share with the Sooner fans? Yeah.
Can we do rapid fire questions? Because I have questions. Let's do like a rapid fire.
got
Let me
some
ask
for
you.
us.
You got questions for? Oh Lord, this is a first.
We'll go fast. We'll go
Okay,
fast.
well, no, we don't have to go
Lightning
fast. Rob, you got Google up because we're gonna lose.
Well, you shouldn't need to Google it.
Okay.
These should be basic things. Okay, so the two horse mascots, not the actual ponies, but the mascots, the people in the costumes for the kiddos.
The Roughnecks.
Is that two? No, not the Roughnecks. The people in
talking about Boomer and
the
Sooner.
ponies.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Are they a boy and a girl? Or are they two boys? Or are they gender non-binary? Or what's going on with that? Is one a
Rob?
boy and one a girl?
I would say they're both boys, but I don't know that.
I don't. It's their names are Boomer and Sooner. That's what the regular horses are.
And the only reason I say that they're probably both boys is because they've done, not that girls can't, do some pretty athletic stuff, but like I think one of them dunked a basketball during a game once. So
Yeah.
I don't, maybe
Well, no, I
one
don't
of
mean the actual people in the costume.
Oh,
Actual people in the costume. I mean, are the characters?
Are they
one's
married
supposed
is
to be a
what you're
boy
asking?
pony and- No, I would think that
Or are they living in sin?
I got.
Honestly,
They're
I
from
do not
Alabama
know.
and they're doing both.
Yeah.
I thought for the longest one of them kind of had eyelashes, and I got to look at it and I thought, no, which
Hmm.
one's the boy and which one's the girl?
I will.
So I think now that they're both just either not anything or they're both boys. I mean, the actual
Yeah,
horse characters.
I'm not sure. We will have to find that out.
Well, you need to find these things out. These
We
are
will
important.
find it out and share it. Okay, next question.
Okay, so next question. The actual ponies, are they like just used for a short period of time and they grow up and they become full-blown horses, or is that a little breed of a horse?
They're full grown size.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're not Shetland. They're a mix of Shetland and something. Or if you wouldn't ask me, what breed? I don't know what breed they are, but that's as big as they get, and they do their term and they live better than
They live a good life.
Yeah,
than most of us
bet.
do right now.
And how often do they have to get new ones? Because like UGA has been UGA for several years, and the Arkansas hogs are fairly young, but they usually last several seasons. So is that kind of how it is with ponies, or do they get new ones every year?
Yeah, they last several seasons, and we really don't know when they change them out. Unlike we don't have like Boomer 420. Like they have like they have Bevo 82 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they just, you don't really know it. They just switch them out, but they're always that beautiful white.
Yep.
Yeah. And let me think. I should have had these written down. I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Okay.
I asked you about the chevron question. We got that covered. That may be about it. We may have to do a whole other episode of just Clio Ask Questions.
Yeah, no schooner. You figured out the whole schooner thing. It's not a wagon.
Not a not a wagon.
Yeah. it's not a wagon. It's a schooner. Okay.
Okay.
A wagon.
My mother said, I played that for my mother one time because, you all were talking about me saying it was a wagon.
Yeah.
And my mother very matter-of-factly informed me it is not. That is a boat. Now, just so you know, as you may have noticed, I'm a half-breed. So my mother's from Alabama, my father's from Missouri. So my mother, she supports Jalen, she likes Jalen, but you can tell there's a little bit of an attitude over this whole liking another team. You know, she's a little not quite sure about it, but we'll just support him. And but that's a vote.
No, there is a schooner called, but the other it's a smaller covered wagon. It's like a Ferrari of covered wagons. A schooner is.
And of course, I can't get her convinced that Oklahoma is not the team that has the guy that runs out with the spear. She's got. I think somehow Baker has gotten that confused in her head, and so she thinks that Oklahoma is the guy that runs out on the horse and throws the spear into the ground. So she's going to be looking for that first few games, and I'm going to be like, "That's not them."
Yeah, show her the schooner when it comes across. See, that's not. They're not going to. You know, they got a guy hanging out the back waving a flag, and
that was another question. Yeah.
Okay.
So the guy hanging out the back. So I've obviously seen the clip where it turns over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
The guy, is there always a guy hanging out the back like he's about to fall off, or was that just that one time?
Nope, always.
Always. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And
did your son ever get to do that, Rob? Be the hanging out guy?
He actually, did I tweet that out? I don't know if I did.
I don't think you did.
My son's 6'3", 260, so he's hanging on to the guy that's in the back.
Nobody wants to hang on to Rhett.
He's a big stocky kid. So.
Now, see what's cool. Then they still do it, and they used to show it on TV more. But what the driver used to do would be standing up when they would go into the tunnel and drop right before. You know, because the wagon, just barely fits underneath, into the tunnel. Okay,
right.
So they would always have their head up and then just duck down right before they got to it. And they used to show that on TV, but they don't really do that anymore. They don't really show that.
Yeah, I've been disappointed when I went back and watched all the Oklahoma games from last season. You just don't see it as much as I expected. So.
I don't know that the TVs, because they run after every point is scored by Oklahoma, touchdown, field goal, whatever the horses run. So,
got the horses in the back.
Yeah, it's a lot in a lot of games. They earn their keep during a lot of the games.
Yeah.
Any other questions that we could?
I think that's what I got for now. I will try to, it's always a running thing in my head, but it's just, like I said, you two have been awesome. It's the support you all have shown for Jalen and the fan base in general. Oh, we got to shout out Jim.
Yep. Big Jim. Yeah, from Arlington. Hey, Jim.
Jim from Arlington just adopted me and Tony, and he just sends me every link that has anything to do with Jalen. And Jim, you're awesome. You knew that already because you're from Texas, and everybody from Texas thinks they're awesome. So. But everybody's just been just so cool, and I try not to crack too many jokes. I try to, behave as if I was in your all film.
Yeah.
I have home training, and not to crack too many jokes. But even when I do, you all just laugh.
Yeah, I mean it's if people know you, like we've gotten to know you through Twitter, we know, people can jab and have fun, and that's how we are, and most Oklahoma fans. Now, if somebody was new and saw that, they'd probably, blast you, with something, but. You could probably call, you could call on us or Jim or even Blinken to say, somebody calm this guy down. I didn't mean
Trust me, I've gotten far more grief from my fellow Alabama fans than I've gotten from any Oklahoma fans. So.
Yeah, they think you're a traitor.
Yeah. Like I said, if you are an Alabama fan, you're either passionately a Jalen fan, passionately a Tua fan, and there's not a whole lot of carryover. And so the ones who were always passionately Tua fans have maybe used Jalen's departure as an excuse to say, well, that just proves everything negative I said about him. So, but those people don't really deserve our attention, so we won't spend too much on them.
Well, all right, that's it for this podcast, everybody. We thank you for joining us. We appreciate your listens and continue to do so. Rob, you got anything else?
No, I had a good time.
All right, well, that's it for this one. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
Boomer Clio.
Boomer.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. Sooner Football Fans Podcast is hosted by Rob Mixon, Terry Long, and occasionally Caleb Long. It is produced at the beautiful Podcast Palace in Norman, Oklahoma. Follow us on Twitter at SoonerFBFans and like our Facebook page at Facebook.com/Sooner Football Fans, and visit our website at www.SoonerFootballFans.com to read our blogs and keep up with our tailgating activities. Boomer Sooner, everyone.